let me introduce our next session. So it's another case study on partnering for success, leveraging registered training organization relationships for enhanced workforce engagement, retention, and professional growth. Our next presenter is Laura Camish, General Manager for Quality Training and Partnerships from KinCare. Laura is passionate about ensuring care is delivered in a safe and effective manner and that our customers or their customers can remain independent in their homes for as long as possible. Please join me in welcoming Laura. You have to bear with us. Thank you.
Just now, is this working? Can you hear me? The audio's not working? Okay, that's all right. Can you hear me at the back? Okay, ish. I will try to project. It's really bright. It's like yeah. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. And it was really lovely to hear the two presenters talk about training and retention. So today I'm hoping to bring those two things together. So as mentioned, I'm from KinCare. We are a home care provider, so we provide in-home care across the country. Today, my focus is looking at partnering with RTOs. And so I know we heard Warwick talk about his experience with RTOs, and hopefully the experience that we've had at KinCare is actually quite different. And we've had a really positive experience about how we can engage and work with RTOs to support our current workforce. And I think that's where the difference is. For us, it's looking at the workforce that we already have. How do we support them in training? So I do have some slides. Let me just see if they're going to come up. Are they going to come up? Perfect. Okay, so as I've mentioned today, we're going to talk a little bit about the role of the RTO for us, and I guess the journey that we've been on and how we've supported our current workforce to give them opportunity for growth. You know, we've heard about the challenges that we have with workforce around retaining staff, about recruiting staff, and we were wanting to look at how we can really support the current workforce that we have, but also be appealing to those that are looking to come into the industry. So because I was sitting at the front, I didn't see the show of hands. Who has engagement with RTOs at the moment? A few people, yeah? Excellent. Okay, and I guess for us at KinCare, we've had a long history with RTOs. We've worked with them through different mechanisms and different ways. In the last 12 months for us, it was looking at really being able to have an understanding of how we could work together and how we could actually support each other and what that would look like for our business, but also for our staff. So how we actually support our staff. So given most of you have an understanding already of who RTOs are and what they do, I won't go into the details around that. But what we do know is the aged care industry is a priority workforce. It's an area that we know there's a workforce shortage. We all are experiencing that. Certainly the pay increase has assisted and has supported that. But it's still a challenge, and it's a challenge each and every one of us in industry is facing. I think that as we move into the strengthened standards and move into the new compliances that we have, it's something we're going to continue to find a challenge around. And let's be honest, the work that particularly our frontline staff are doing can be challenging and can be really, really hard. So how can we give them the best opportunity and the best mechanisms to be able to develop their skill set, to feel empowered and to be good at what they do? So we wanted to have an understanding and explore what professional growth looks like. And I think that when we're talking about frontline staff, we often don't think about that professional growth, and they don't think about that professional growth. And in this case study that I'm going to talk about in a moment, you'll see that when given the opportunity, it's something that was embraced and really gave people a sense of empowerment. And that was really, really exciting for us as a business. So professional growth is looking at that continued education, looking at how we can partner and be part of professional organisations. Now, we know our healthcare and our health industry are really great at doing that. Do we have that same opportunity for our field staff and our home care staff? Looking at opportunity for research, so being able to partner with universities, with TAFEs to look at research opportunities, and also engaging our field staff in that process as well. So they get that experience to be able to look at how research is such an important aspect in every role that we have across the business. We know that professional growth is going to improve job performance and job satisfaction, which then is going to lead to retention. We also focused a lot on increasing duties and responsibilities, so being able to look at those that come in at a level 1, how do we upskill, how do we give them opportunity to do more if that's what they're wanting to do in their roles, and then be able to progress them through those different levels. By providing skills-based training and also some job assessments and assignments. So this goes in line with what Warwick was talking about earlier around it's not just about training the person through simulated training or through online training, but how do we actually capture in-field training and give people credit for the tasks that they're doing in their roles. So we looked at the opportunities for the employees. So this was giving them access to certified training programs. We are one of the organisations that also have leveraged the traineeship opportunities that are there as well for our staff, and looking at pathways for career advancement. So where does it lead for them? If they're starting as a home care worker and they want to move into another role, what does that actually look like and how we can support them in doing that? And then also benefits for employers. So we're developing a skilled workforce, and we know that from the recommendations from the task force that we need a skilled workforce. In-home care is going to be something that we need to ensure that our staff are trained and have a good understanding of complex care and able to deliver complex care in more effective ways. And in essence, it's going to improve productivity, innovation, and overall retention. So looking at engagement and motivation through collaboration, because we couldn't do this on our own. We have our own embedded learning processes and training processes in place, but we wanted to partner with RTOs and organisations that had the same vision as us and the same values as us. And it wasn't just a $9.99 deal. It was really being able to look at how do we invest in our people and how do we give back to our people as well. And so, as I mentioned at the very start, for us, it's training staff that we already have within our organisation. And I'll talk through the 12 months that we've been on and the journey we've been on and the reception that we received around this, which was really, really remarkable. So we wanted to ensure that we had mutual goals, that we're able to foster open relationships and open communication. We have regular reviews of the training program as well, so it's not just a set and forget. For us, we want to know, what are you doing? How are you supporting our staff? Looking at some of those training decisions around needs assessments, around in-field assessments as well, so definitely can relate to what you were talking about before, and really creating a learning culture. And this was something that I think a lot of organisations have struggled with, to have that learning culture, and that it's about constantly developing skills and for us constantly to look at where we can extend ourselves and be better at what we do. So these are the things that we really wanted to focus and encourage. How do we maximise that? What does this look like? And you know, what was the data? And to Annette's point, data is so important, and it's critical for us to have an understanding of what the data shows us around retention, around people wanting to stay in a role. And similarly, we found a lot of people were leaving roles because there was a lack of job satisfaction, a lack of career progression opportunities, or they didn't feel that they were able to get further in their career through certifications. So for us, being able to provide that and support that was a huge win. So we also recognised that not all of our workforce wanted to engage in a qualified course. They didn't want to go through a formal training program, but they still wanted to learn. They still wanted to be part of that process and part of that journey. And I guess the 12 months for us, in KinCare, looking at that learning culture is something that we've been able to tap into a lot of different aspects across the business. So we have about 1,000 home care workers nationally, and about 300 office-based staff. So not only did we look at opportunities for our field staff for training, we also looked at how we could support our office-based staff in developing leadership skills, in being able to advance their own skill set, managing how they manage complex care, cases within their teams. So really being able to focus on tapping into where we can embed learning at lots of different points. We also know how important the customer is. So we created Betty and Bill. And Betty and Bill is something that our training team is super proud of, because Betty and Bill start the journey at orientation with all of our new staff. They all get to meet Betty and Bill. Betty is on a home care package and Bill has a CHSP program that he's a part of. And they go through the journey of understanding who the customer is, why we're here, why we're doing these things. Because in essence, that's why we're all in this industry. We're in this industry for the customer and for the person that we're providing care for. So how important is it that our field staff have an understanding of who our customer is? Our office staff have an understanding of who our customers are. We wanted to make sure that when new starters come on board, they all have that same experience. So our finance team, our HR team, our IT team, our customer care team all get that same experience. They all know that Betty and Bill are our customers and what we do is for them. We also looked at how we could start to embed some of those complex care skills and care needs into our training, foreseeing what's coming with strengthened standards. I also lead the quality team, so look at our compliance and look at our audit processes. So ensure that we're prepared, and once that does come into effect, as I know we're all waiting in anticipation, that we know that we've got a skilled workforce, even if they don't want to go down that formal training path. So we've looked at upskilling those that are interested in personal care, medication management, cytotoxic and chemotherapy, and manual handling and complex manual handling, and really looking at how we can streamline that process and ensure that those people that want to learn and want to advance their skill sets are able to and given that opportunity to. So what does this learning journey look like? What did it look like for us as an organisation, and what does it look like for our staff? So it's really looking at how we can focus on training, how we enrol students in training programs, how we can work with our partners and have an understanding of what our needs are and what their needs are and how we work together. Looking at that collaboration. So it's not just training, the training team, it's actually across the entire business. What are the needs? How do we work across the business? And how do we respond to those needs as well? And what we're able to do is develop quite quickly training material as it's required. So we had a number of concerns that were popping up just around calling an ambulance when a home care worker's at home. So very quickly we were able to say, based on the information and the data we have, what the issue is, what the strategies we can put in place, how do we develop a micro-learning and provide that micro-learning to all of our staff to be able to complete. So they have a really good understanding of, if this happens in the home, these are the processes that I need to follow. It also meant that we had to be creative in some of the ways that we were looking at training to really focus on engagement and make sure people were feeling supported and engaged. So looking at this timeline, and this is what's really exciting for us. So January 2023, we had less than 5 people enrolled in training courses external to us, which, as an organisation of 1,000 people, it's not bad, but it wasn't fantastic. We wanted to look at how we could leverage that. So what we did is we looked at a number of different RTOs we could engage in. And I remember the evening I drafted an expressions of interest. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, I'm just going to send it out. if I get 10 people responding, that's great. That's a really positive thing, and I'll be stoked if that's the case. I press send at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, because obviously our home care workers come home from their shift. They might check their emails to see what the to see what the response was. Couldn't help myself. I couldn't wait till the morning. I kept on looking and I kept on checking and I kept on seeing the responses. The numbers were clicking over. We had, in a short space of time, so less than a day, over 200 people respond to say, yes, I'm interested in training. Yes, I'd like to do a course. How can you support me? Now, these were a combination of staff that had been new to industry, new to business, so less than 6 months, and some of them had been with us for 10 years. And they just wanted an opportunity, and how do we support that? So going through that process, we looked at how do we enrol, how do we get people either into a training program through the RTOs that we're partnered with, or through a traineeship if that's possible. And so we've developed some really great relationships with ARC, the training organisation that we work with, and with MEGT, who's our traineeship a team that we work with. And in a really short space of time, we've got 150 and growing people that are already completing their courses, with some of them finished up, which is amazing. So here are some numbers that we have. We've actually just engaged with an organisation in Victoria as well. Warwick would understand there's some challenges with state-based training and state-based funding, where you have officers, being able to kind of focus on those different things, but being as creative as we can to ensure that we're giving everyone that wants to be part of this an opportunity. So how has this improved our retention? So Annette will like some of these numbers, not quite the 14%, but definitely an improvement to where we were at. So that first lot of boxes at the top, so overall voluntary, first 90 days and tenured, what we've seen is that's that monthly churn that we experience, okay? And then the bottom figures are the rolling 12 months. So for us, the biggest challenge that we were finding was that first 90 days. So we were finding we were losing a lot of staff within the first 90 days, which suggested that the fit to the role, their orientation process, their opportunity for growth is something that we could have worked on and improved. As you can see, we have improved by almost 50%, which is amazing. And we're finding that people are satisfied, they're wanting to stay in their roles, and they're wanting to see what opportunities we've got. Now, I'm hoping that IT can press the buttons on these little videos that we've got, hopefully.
Hi, my name is Leah Richardson.
Give them a moment.
I am a home care worker from New South Wales,
How are you going?
Western Sydney, Blacktown. I have been with KinCare for 2 years and
Okay.
6 months.
I don't think
to
I've
be
got control of
exact.
it.
I'm currently
I'd love you to
studying
hear it because these are two of our home care
certificate
workers,
support.
and
What I
they're
enjoyed
currently
about the
going
course
through
is
some
that
training.
There are a lot to learn, which you think you already know.
But the audience
the
isn't.
teachers and assessors
Well, that's really
are
disappointing.
approachable
The stream and the
and
record is
willing
hearing
to
it,
help.
but not you
meet
guys.
people
So that's a real
that
shame.
has the same wavelength as
These are two of our
you
home
and
care
they
workers
understand
who
what you are
took that
talking
opportunity
about,
to
and
be
some
part
them
of the
have
training.
experiences
And
that
Leah
are
speaks so
inspiring.
highly of the
To
experience
me,
and gives, I guess,
education is a
an
continuous
indication of
process.
what this has meant for
So
her
if you are
and
given
how
a chance to better yourself,
it was a
this is
nerve-wracking
now the
process to go,
opportunity.
oh, do I want to go into this course? Am I ready for this? But actually stepping in has, been one of the best things that she's done. She explains it much more eloquently than I do, so I'm sorry that you're not getting to hear that. Maria, she's been with us for about 7 years. And, what is really wonderful about Maria's journey is, again, she was apprehensive about going into this. But once given the opportunity and given a chance to look at how she could advance her skills, she stepped into that space, has a great relationship with the trainer, and is able to look at how she can advance her skills, but also take on board the experiences that she's having with the customers she's already working with. And so that for us was a really important thing. So partnering for success, and as I mentioned, we partner with ARC, that's one of the training organisations, and has been a really, really great training partner for us. So they're like-minded, we meet regularly, we look at how our people are supported in the field and how they're all, given as much opportunity to use the experiences and the case studies and examples that they have in the field to help support their learnings. So I guess differently to what Warwick was talking about around that 123 hours, all of our staff are already employed by us. So we employ them. This is something that is a training opportunity for them, as opposed to us looking at a workforce to kind of come in. However, looking at partnering beyond training, this is something that we are having conversations with ARC about, and not so much around. And I was saying to Warwick before we presented that it's not about us saying, oh, yep, we want a free workforce. We actually want to employ them, because if you're doing the course and you are wanting to work in the industry, then we want to support you. We want to give you a job because you're passionate about it. The different streams that you talked about, definitely can see how that is a barrier. And so it's not about getting your foot in the door and going, oh, I'm doing training, so now I want a job. It's actually, I'm doing training, I really want a job. What's your recruitment process? I'll go through that process because I want to work in the industry. And how do we support people in doing that? For us, it's really about creating an environment that is about learning. It's about providing the best quality care to our customers and ensuring that every day that a home care worker is going into the field, they feel as though they're skilled, they feel empowered, and they feel supported by their organisation. So this is the journey that we've been on. Hopefully if you get to listen to the recordings, you'll get to hear a little bit from our home care workers, because that was, I guess, in essence, what was really important for me to convey to you all today. So I do thank you for your time, and if there are any questions, definitely welcome them.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much for that. That was really enlightening, actually. What I'm really curious about is, so you have your existing workers going through this program. What is the funding model? And the second thing is, given that they're quite often on the field, how do you organize the logistics of them attending this training? And what's the post-training journey like? Sorry, those were 3 questions.
Great questions. So for us, there's a couple of different funding models. We've got the fee-free training, so they'll go through the course if it's a fee-free option. So they don't have to pay anything, we don't have to pay anything, they complete their training. Then there's also the traineeship option, which Warwick spoke about, the fee structures that are associated with that. Some states are different with their fee structure, so there may be administration fees that KinCare pays on behalf of our students, but the students don't have to pay anything for their course. In regards to how we manage the logistics of that, we actually have a national field trainer, and so part of his role is to ensure that we support our staff doing their training through workshops. They also have their training that they're allocated to provide by the RTO online, so they can do that in their time or at work time, depending on what the requirement is for that particular module.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you very much. Just if you could share maybe some secrets around the strategic decisions that were made in regards to, there's always barrier for training, because if it's done during work time or if it's done outside of work time, do those students get paid for the time? So did you have to go through that kind of hustle as well?
It's definitely that challenge. It absolutely is that challenge. So, and again, each state has some different requirements as to how many hours are paid for. So we pay for their training hours depending on which state they're in, and depending on what that looks like in regards to if they're doing in-field stuff where they're getting signed off by the national field trainer. But it's definitely something that each state has a different little cadence to, and so for us it's navigating that to make sure that the student's incentivised, but also that as a business we're able to manage, rather than going, oh, we've got all these students training, now we've got no home care workers that can actually deliver care. So it's definitely a balance that we have to continually work through.
Any other
It's almost
questions?
lunchtime, it's okay.
All right, so I think
Thank you.
everyone's already ready, prepared for lunch. Thank you so much, Laura.